Okay, well, I will go through my stuff.
Okay.
That's what I was going to do. Okay. Well, I don't have a thought for tonight, but I do have the book for tonight is Extreme Ownership.
Extreme Ownership?
Yep, by Jocko Willink. It's one of my favorite books. And he's got a podcast, and like all of his podcasts once a week are like 4 or 5 hours long. And he dissects books using workbooks. And what I like about Extreme Ownership is you don't have an excuse. If you're going to the mission and your vehicle breaks down and you don't get to it, well, when you get back, you say, okay, what could I have done to make that not happen? You know, oh, we could have brought a spare vehicle. Well, we could have packed lighter so we could run to the thing. Anything that you could do to make it so that the mission got accomplished. Because in the military, you know, if you're supposed to be at a certain point at a certain time, maybe
you got to be there.
You're overwatched for somebody that's doing the attack or something. It's people's lives.
Yeah.
But it's also in real life, you know. If you're supposed to be getting a loan for something, you know, you don't get the loan, you don't get the deal, or somebody else doesn't get their deal because you're going to loan them the money. And so I really like that book because it puts the responsibility back on you. Mm-hmm. And just like Brian I was telling you about, man, he's constantly putting it on Peggy, putting it on everybody else but himself. He doesn't take any personal responsibility. Yes. I know a lot of people like that, but they just don't take responsibility for what they're doing. Mm-hmm. If they did, man, things would change so much differently. Because I rely on you to do everything, and it's all your fault.
Yeah.
You can't change it, right?
Right.
So if I rely on you and then don't check, then I'm taking the responsibility too.
Right.
But I'm letting you do it. But I'm not letting you fall in the face either.
Right.
Because I want you to be successful. So if you read that book, it'll change some of your thinking maybe. It's a very good book. And then Margaret Report.
Yes. So.
Let me go shut the door.
In Odessa, in August, we had 170 homes sold that month, which was a 6.25% increase from July. The average sales price was $263,000. Average price per square foot was $136, and average days on market was 41. Average sold list percentage was 95.61%, which that was a decrease from July. I think July was around 97%.
What's that mean, average sold list?
So if it's listed for 100,000, it would only sell for 95,000.
Okay.
Because it's like the percentage.
Oh, okay.
So I just checked on the market yesterday. There's 404 active listings, and the average list price is $342. And also I checked on how many houses have sold so far this month. So from the 1st to the 20th, we've had 59 houses sell in Odessa, which last month we had 170.
It's a big
difference. So you're going to see, like, at the end of the month, it'll be a drastic decrease.
Do you think that's because the interest rate is so high?
I think it's more of like the time of year, because with September, like school starts, sports start.
Everybody's busy.
Everyone, they try and shop like June through August or May through August when kids are getting out of school and stuff like that. So yeah, right now it's kind of went from a seller's market to it's kind of leveling out right now. So yeah, that's where the market's at.
Very good.
Interesting.
Okay, remember that all the information here is just for your education. It's not professional or lawyers talk or anything. If you want any professional information or advice, go see a lawyer or go see a CPA or your professional of choice. Okay, this is Nick Escobar, and he's got cousins and stuff all over the South.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were watching a movie one night, my wife and I, and there was these drug lords, Escobar, and I said, "Oh, I'm in business with Escobar."
Oh my God.
Not related though. Not related. I wouldn't be. I don't think I'd be here if I was related.
Okay, take it away, Nick.
All right. Well, of course, I'll just go ahead and introduce myself. So my name's Nick Escobar, how Lee said. Originally from Colombia, moved here to the United States in 2006. I've been here about 17 years. Got my education here in Midland, actually. And then I went to Texas Tech for 2 years, got my biology degree.
Oh.
And then in 2 more years, I got my master's degree. And so technically, I ended up with like 4 degrees in health. And so while I was doing my master's degree, I came back to Midland and I needed work, right? And so the reason I didn't go to college was, COVID hit, and so everything was online. So I figured, I know my parents aren't gonna pay for my school, so I got to find something to work.
Right.
And so luckily I ended up doing land work for an old company, and the only reason is because I had a friend that was there. I didn't even know what he did.
Oh, okay.
And so one evening we just met, and I was like, hey, what do y'all do here?
Yeah.
He's like, actually no, I asked him, are y'all hiring? And he was like, yeah, we are. And I was like, hire me.
Yeah.
Like, just
It
like,
doesn't even matter.
and like, yeah, because I didn't, I was trying to look for work, and I was trying to find it in a health related field, but the people I was talking to that I was talking to at the time, they were taking forever and ever to get back with me. So I was like, all right, whatever, right? So then after I spoke to my friend, then literally like a couple days later, I got the job. Anyway, time passes by, and then that's when I started I created my business around real estate, that I want to serve real estate brokers and agents and people in real estate. And then I heard about about these meetings.
Oh,
So I attended the first one, I think, when was it? I think towards the end of 2021, I think, right? Something like that? No. But it's been well over a year. And so then I met Lee, and then that's when I started learning about all of this, because I had no prior knowledge of, like, I knew, you could make money off of real estate, I just didn't know how.
Yeah.
And so then after coming to a
How
bunch...
did we get to know each other? You remember?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did meet at these meetings, but it was just very like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Nick. I'm Lee.
Yeah.
Very brief.
Like in passing.
Yeah, and so then time passed by, and one day I went to go to the mall to get one of the batteries replaced on my watch, and he was walking at the mall. And then I was like, hey, you're Lee, right? And he was like, oh yeah, Nick, whatever, blah blah blah. Then we walked back and forth like quite a bit.
I had therapy that day, and he said, go walk.
Oh.
And it's the year that my muscles all went out.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what happened, but I went to the mall to walk, and
It
I
was
saw
meant
it.
to be. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Most people I don't recognize because face blames. But then once we talked in the mall, then I started knowing who he was.
Yeah, because we talked for like almost like a little over an hour.
Yeah.
And so that's when we really, that's when like we really got to know each other.
Yeah.
And so, again, time passed by, and then there was a point where like I was coming to like the meetings every month, but then I just got so busy. I haven't been to it. So because I was working with like real estate agents and stuff, I came across one guy, and so we just became really like just good friends and stuff. And one day I just bumped to him in the gym.
Oh, okay.
And so, because my idea was like, man, it'd be cool to get like a home under my belt, like to build my portfolio,
Yeah.
but I wasn't actively going out there calling people, none of that stuff. So at the gym, he was leaving, and so I was just getting there. So then we started talking, and so he was talking about, I was like, yeah, man, because we started talking about like the real estate market and stuff.
And this
so
guy, sorry, is he a realtor or was he an investor?
he's both, because he's a realtor, and then he also like has his own portfolio.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So we met at the gym, and so we started talking, and then he goes, yeah, man, I'm looking to get into these newer builds. And so I was like, so he was like, I'm wanting to get, sell one of my properties so I can get that money and then put it into the next.
Nice.
And so I told him, just for the heck, I mean, I didn't know, right? I didn't know much else. And so I told him, would you and your partner be open to, so for sale by owner, like owner financing? And he was like, you know what, let me talk to him and I'll let you know. So then like 2 days passed by, and then I think that same day, that's when I called you, or called Lee, right? And then I told him like, hey, this is the thing. It's a house. It's here. It's in Odessa. There could be opportunity. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, and that's why I want to bring you along. right?
Yeah.
But still, nonetheless, he gave me the opportunity. He's like, you can do it by yourself, or if you want, you can bring me on.
Yeah.
But I figured, it's my first time doing this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sure I could have figured it out, but it would have taken me forever, And so I thought I'd bring him in, so I did. And so once they had agreed that they wanted to do owner financing, then the three of us met at Lee's house, and so then that's when the conversations began on essentially just building rapport, especially on these subject to deals. You gotta make sure both parties trust each other, making sure that everybody's gonna make their payments on time. Nobody gets to make sure nobody gets screwed. And so we started talking about pricing, right? And so they started mentioning. That's when I figured out something that Lee had mentioned was that in these deals you're coming up with solutions, and you're not solving you're kind of solving a problem, but you're at the end of the day just providing a solution.
Yeah, he's always saying that. Yeah.
You're always providing solutions, and that's what you want to do in these deals. You don't want to undercut anybody. And so really this where it began here was where these guys, their goal was, I want to sell this house and we want to put it into a newer home. And then for us, at least for me, it was, well, for us, I wanted a house under my portfolio, and he still wanted to expand his rental portfolio. So that, it worked out for everybody. It's a win-win situation. And so that's where I talked about, or I mentioned there, solving each other's problem. And so thankfully, him being a real estate agent, he can do like a comparative market analysis. And so that's when we decided to come up with a set price on the home, which we agreed was $170,000, right? And so the next thing was the down payment part. And so they said that we're looking at about $20,000 down payment. Lee and I talked about it. We said we agreed that'll work. So again, we went half and half. And honestly, there wasn't like a whole lot of friction, was there, throughout the whole process. And so once we determined the price and the down payment, that's when because one thing that they had mentioned, and I know Lee's big on this, is like taxes, because I think they wanted to avoid paying I think it was their capital gains tax, right?
If the house sells a certain way, then they have to pay, even though they're getting payments, they have to pay all their taxes in this year. But if we structure it right, then they don't have to pay all this year. They pay over the next, 30-year loan?
I think so.
No? Their part is basically a 10-year loan, so they'll pay over a 10-year period.
Yeah. So it benefited them in the long run, and then of course we made that. The deal was established. $170K for the home, $20,000 down payment. It was gonna go, and then one thing that was very interesting, that because I heard about it before, but it was, people always say don't put your house under your own name. Try to put it under an LLC name or a trust or just something else, right? And then that's when Lee had talked about it. He's like, hey, would you consider putting it in a trust? And I was like, hey, it wouldn't hurt, And so that's when we got counsel and, we started, pretty much all those documents began to, started to get drafted.
Nice.
And so another thing that I learned was it's more complex than I thought it was going to be. But thankfully Lee had come up with a checklist.
Okay.
And so that way we knew what we had to do, right? As these documents were being drafted, hey, get X, Y, and Z done. And so that was probably that's probably one of the biggest takeaways from this was just be organized, especially since we were going the way of the trust, because there's a whole lot of more documents that that are involved in a process like that. And so it took quite a bit to close on the house, right? It took about, 2.5, almost 3 months, I think.
Yeah, maybe two.
2.5. And so
Part of it's Brandon not getting the documents done, but part of it's also me not getting documents done as well.
Right. But nonetheless, it was a good, it still went great because we were updating them. One thing, that Lee told me is just because you already have it agreed like verbally, y'all haven't closed on it. So
Right,
you gotta
anything
make
can
sure
happen.
anything like they could have backed out within those 2.5 months, right? But he just said make sure you stay on top of them and just keep telling like update them,
Update 'em,
like
yeah.
like
Keep
hey,
them
you
in the
know,
loop.
the lawyer hasn't done this, we're waiting on this, or we need this from you guys and all that stuff. So in terms of communication, like I think that went absolutely excellent. You know, we didn't have any barriers or anything like that. And so then the next thing was we went to visit the home, which granted we did before
Okay.
before we agreed on the price, of
Mhm.
course, right? So we went to see the house, but then and then we went again after we had agreed on the terms, just to get a home inspection, of
Good,
course,
yeah.
which was necessary, and then we also got to meet the
Who did
tenants.
the home inspection? Pat?
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, nice, yeah.
yeah,
The investor special.
yeah, the investor special, yeah.
And also for your terms, what interest rate did you guys get?
So that's the very,
Oh.
very like very cool part about this. So like the loan, so technically, so okay, so we just because they owed about 100, it was like 100,000, like
Oh,
and some
nice.
change that they
Yeah.
owed on the house, and so and they had a 4.125 interest rate.
Oh, okay.
So since it was subject to, like we owed them 50,000, right?
Yeah.
50,000. So on that, on what we owed them, Lee was thinking, like, man, we're probably gonna have to pay them some kind of interest on it. They never mentioned it.
Stop.
They never
really?
mentioned. So we got that.
Crazy.
So we got that on literally at 0%.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
I knew when we
guys.
put the deal together, because what I did is, profits out of the thing, all of it. We don't get any money.
Oh, okay.
We have to pay the first mortgage, everyone. Doesn't matter if we got a win it or not, we have to pay the first mortgage. But we only pay them the second mortgage out of net profits
Oh, okay.
until it's paid off. And that's how I
Nice.
put it, and he agreed to it.
Yeah. And I mean,
Wow.
it's still not a bad. I mean.
No, yeah, but
you
it's
know.
like they could have asked for interest,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but it's cool.
And-
Still, yeah.
And my next thing would have been, had he asked for interest, I said, well, that includes interest.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I had asked him what he wanted, and he said 40%. I said, well, that includes the interest. But
Nice.
I had to figure out how to make that deal work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because including means it's inside of there already. It's that plus interest. That's the-
Right.
And the also the other big important part that came out of that is like we're guaranteeing them that we're paying them the first mortgage 100% the whole time until it's paid off. But let's say like the home is not, there's not a tenant in there, so we're not going to be making any money on it, but we do have to pay them the
Yeah.
monthly mortgage.
Right.
We just won't pay the second loan. You know what I'm saying?
So when you say the first mortgage and second loan, so is it like the 50,000 and then?
No, it's the 100,000,
The-
which is what they owe to the bank.
Okay.
And then the second loan is the 50,000 that we owe them. So that's where we got the 0%.
Oh, so you make sure the bank is paid regardless.
Regardless.
But then your loan is like if there's a tenant in there or not. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Because like you said, it's net profits. So
Okay.
if we're not making anything on it. And then also on top of that, in the meantime, we're building a repair fund. And so Lee requested $5,000, I believe. You were thinking, okay.
So we talked for 2 hours.
Yep.
That's why I said, you don't see me not talk.
Yeah.
Until that day.
Yeah.
Because I talk
Yeah.
very little when I put the deal together.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was about 2 hours we talked, and he talked with me, and he came, during the conversation, he said, well, I usually like $3,000 on my properties as a repair fund. And I said, oh, yes.
Just make them happy.
I jumped on it right, oh, yes, you have to have a repair fund.
Repair fund, yeah.
And 3,000, that's a good repair fund.
Nice.
See, why argue over 5 or 3?
Yeah. It's so
his idea
close.
of 3, so we'll make
Yeah.
it 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so again, because it's net profits, we have to build that repair fund first. So again,
Yeah.
that like because that repair fund is being built, we don't pay nothing on the second mortgage.
Right.
Or the second loan, my bad,
Yeah.
second loan.
And
So-
once it's built, then it's almost completely safe with us because, the first mortgage is $1,100.
Yeah.
And so if it goes empty, we could go 3 months before we actually had to come out of pocket.
Yeah,
for
that's
money.
awesome.
Yep.
Nice.
It can just come out of the repair fund. Yep,
Right.
100%. So it was, yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it was a really, the way it was structured, it just came out really good. And so, go
sorry, I
ahead.
have a question on the repair fund. Do you guys get to dictate how it's used then? Like, because you said you can pay them with the repair fund. So is it like you can use it to pay that first loan, but then you rebuild it again once it's paid? You know
No,
what I
because
mean?
it's strictly for repairs. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
So
see?
if it's not rented, you said you could use the repair fund for 3 months.
I'll have to actually see what it says in the paper. That
Oh,
was-
okay.
That was my thinking.
Yeah, that might be a
Okay.
possibility. Yeah, that might be.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we have to double check.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I mean,
that
it
would
is
be
it is a
really
repair
cool if
fund.
that's the case.
Yeah, because it is a repair
I
fund.
think
So
it may say contingency. I'm
Mm.
not sure if it actually says
It's all in the fine print.
It's all in the fine print, yeah.
Your little gray cells up here, they're always thinking.
Yeah.
They're always thinking about this deal for the next 20 years.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, and so let's see. Oh, okay. So then we got the home inspection, all that stuff. We got to meet the tenants. The next thing we did was we ran title on the home just to verify 100% that
Yeah.
they actually are the owners.
Right.
Because you don't want to get screwed essentially,
Someone
right?
comes back like, oh, I owned it like 10 years ago.
Yeah, or I have
Like,
a lien
who
on the,
are
or
you?
have a lien on the
Uh-huh.
house. Because that was the biggest worry. Because I mean, I figured like, because I knew this guy,
Mhm.
I was like, I trust him. Like, these guys are legit.
Mhm.
But one thing that Lee said, we just got to make sure that there's no liens from any previous,
Mhm.
homeowners or just anybody, period,
Yeah.
that could screw this up, right?
Right.
And so, granted, we ran it, we couldn't find anything, and thank God, right? Thank God we didn't find anything.
Do you think that if somebody really comes off good to you and he's really a good guy, that he's probably a good guy to do a deal with?
That the seller?
In
Or-
general,
Yeah, I mean, if somebody has good intention, I mean, why not, right?
yeah. Do you think that scammers would come off as bad people?
No, not usually.
Not
So
usually.
They're always going to seem like the guy to do the deal with. That's why you got to trust and verify.
Yeah,
Because that's what scammers are good at, is making you think that they are
they're on your side.
what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you and I seem like good people to them, right? But they didn't know until we did the deal, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And so, yeah, no, very good point. Yeah, and so then after that, we verified that. We also got we got a survey of the home.
Mhm.
A survey, right? The survey of the home.
Mhm.
No,
Make sure
we
like
didn't
the.
do that.
Oh, that's right. We never got it, huh?
We asked them for their survey.
For their survey.
Oh.
And I don't think.
know if we ever got it, but-
Yeah, I don't think because they got it. I think they said a long time ago, right?
If a home's been in a neighborhood,
Mhm.
it generally doesn't move much.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, but sometimes like the neighbors could like.
A fence or
You know,
something,
yeah.
who cares about a fence?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
I think it's actually, if it's past 3 years of like a fence,
Mhm.
then they can't make you move it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because technically, I mean, you could get like so complex into like, oh no, that's an easement. You need an easement for that.
Uh-huh.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
And the
But-
bank got the survey when they did their first one, that's a lot of problems without a survey.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. So then after that, things were starting to progress, and then we ended up signing an estoppel letter with the tenants.
What's that?
Pretty much just stating that that's the one where just pretty much stating that we're gonna be pretty much the landlords, right, or managing the land. No, that wasn't that one.
An estoppel
Oh, so-
letter is your outfit's black. Maybe I'm colorblind, but maybe it's. I send you an estoppel letter saying that it's black. If you
Oh.
agree to it, you can't come back later and say. So our estoppel letter was saying that Their deposit was $1,100, I think, or something, no, $1,800.
Yeah.
And that rent was a certain price. It's getting them to confirm the information. Because if they don't confirm, say the deposit was $2,000, and the owner really didn't have any records of the deposit, other than their memory.
Yep.
Did we actually get the money?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah, we did get the money.
You wouldn't just put that in the lease?
It's a separate paper. That's the broker. I'm sure she's got.
Oh, okay, it's just like extra verification?
Yes,
Extra protection?
yes.
Oh,
You send it
Yeah.
to- And you can do it to the owners too. An estoppel letter saying, okay, you claim that the rents are this, and you know, let's say you do a mobile home park, and they say, yeah, all of our spaces are rented. You know, give us a estoppel letter.
Okay.
That makes it legal.
Yeah.
They're claiming on a piece of paper that it is this.
Okay.
And then if you go in and only half the spaces are rented, well, you have caught them, whether you want to sue them or not. Right?
Yeah.
Peter Fortunato never wants to be in court, and I don't particularly ever want to be in court either.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I mean, he's walked away from $1 million deals because he never wanted to be in court.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
He had an option on a property on the interstate for like 20-year option. Drive by one day, there was a wall on the property.
Wow.
Instead of taking him to court, he just dropped his option.
Oh my god.
Aaron and I, we're both a little more aggressive. Both of us we got up like this. What?
Yeah.
Way to go to court.
Yeah, for
Or
something like
if
that.
nothing else, I'd have sold my options to somebody that could have gone to court that had millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And lawyers.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a.
I'd gotten something out of that deal.
Yeah.
Because you can sell an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Yeah. And so one of the things that was I think the biggest concern that the sellers had was triggering the due on sale clause. But one thing that Lee said is, in his experience, it's never happened to him. As long as you do your due diligence.
And make your payments on time.
Yeah, and so he didn't have a problem, and I didn't have a problem either. Particularly because, I guess that's comes with the benefits of knowing people, right, or being in groups like this. Because he said, if need be, we can just bring someone else that can just, pay off that first mortgage, and then we just owe them money at that point.
Right.
So that's a good thing. There's backup, right? So once once Lee mentioned it very clearly, that's not a problem. On the due on sale clause, they're like, oh, okay, if you guys don't have a problem, then we can move forward with it. So then I think at that point, all the concerns were pretty much off the table, and which were, like I said, that was probably the only one. And so again, like I mentioned earlier, we kept updating them throughout the whole process because it was taking some time, getting all the documents drafted with the lawyer and getting them to the title company, making sure everything was right. We made multiple trips right to the company because I think that attorney, he hadn't done a deal like this right before, and so he was learning as he went. And so it was actually very interesting. One thing that I thought about was seeing him go through it, because this guy's very knowledgeable, right? The attorney, but it's pretty cool just seeing him think about what he has in front and how the law applies to it, especially since it's nothing that he's never done before. So that was pretty interesting. I thought that was very, very interesting.
The thing I liked about it is that he was willing to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Brandon
oh.
is at Little Star.
Okay.
And a lot of people are a lot of those lawyers are in their box, and they don't want to do it. It's no.
Yeah.
I know what I know, and this is illegal. That's what they always say.
Yeah.
If they don't know it, then it's illegal.
Yeah.
And he was willing to learn. And I was pliable too, because originally I was going to have an option on this property and a loan to the property. But he did not like the loan because he said the way I had it structured would put us over the 10% usury rate.
Oh.
And so I just restructured it so that it's still the same deal, it's just done differently.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And see, and that's another thing I learned was, because when I had first brought this up to Lee, because we were going 50-50, I thought both of our names were going to be on the property because we were going 50-50. But again, you know, he just went and did an option, which, you know, I knew that was a thing.
Do you remember how I told her?
Man, I forgot.
8 parts of the house?
That diagram, yep. I remember the diagram.
You don't remember which part? What could I not use that you could use?
The tax benefits. Yeah, because you're putting it under your 401k. That's right.
Depreciation.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not waste half the tax benefits. Put it in your name, you can use the whole thing.
Yep, exactly.
Same deal. We just made it better for both of us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. And then let's see. I mentioned under that, you know, we got a 0% on the loan, right? And then at the end we just kind of finalized any like the final, because I know Brandon requested some changes, right? So those changes were made, and then at that point he just pretty much just packaged everything together. We met one last time. He's like, hey, this is this, you know. Once we were all good to go, then he just packaged everything, sent it out, because one of the sellers, one of the owners, he didn't live here, and so he lived in Dallas. So those things had to be sent out over there. So that took a little bit of more time. But then that's when the whole process of like closing on the house started. And then one thing that we hadn't discussed until after closing, I believe, was about the security deposit. As Lee had mentioned, they didn't have any records of it. It was like in their mind, you know? And
the
so
tenant or
the seller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
At least with the tenants.
Oh.
I think they only did like a 1-year lease at the very beginning, but those tenants have been there like 6 years at this point. 2018, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they've been long-term tenants, and they haven't had any problems with them. So I'm guessing they didn't see a reason to have a lease. But
crazy.
which is
Laughing, right?
because
I'm gonna lease all the time.
right, exactly. And so that was another thing that Lee told me, is that once we close on this house, we gotta go out there ASAP and get a lease agreement. And so we were able to get them on a 1-year, which is, I mean, it's still not bad, right? But then within that lease agreement, it says they have to notify us 30 days in advance. 20, right?
Oh, wow.
If they want to leave or if they want to renew, right? So then, we got that done. And so, once it was wrapped up, really, it was just, I would say, like, in terms of the main takeaways, I think by far the biggest takeaway that I've learned was, even though, like, the property, like, everything's good with, you know, everything's been recorded, everything's done, like, you know, we don't have to worry about anything. At the end of the day, the deal's not done. You know, there's always ways. No, like, I'm talking like after closing,
Oh, I see.
Because even though you got a good deal, like, you can do even better, whether that's by bringing people in, you know, taking, I don't know, maybe if he wants to sell his option, or if I want to sell like half of my equity in the house, you know, or whatever it is. So
that's getting creative right there.
That's getting really creative, and so.
I was in Florida this weekend, and this guy we had an exchangers meeting Thursday morning, was trying to give people $150,000 at 4% interest and get a part of the deal. And nobody would take him up on in the exchange agreement. So I called Nick Saturday, I think it was, and I said, hey, would it be okay if I had him take out our first mortgage, so then we wouldn't have a bank loan anymore. We'd have a person. I like people better than banks. And give him 4%, and that's where I was going to start, because that's what he was asking, right? I don't know what the bank's rate, 4.25 or whatever.
4.125, yeah.
And then I was going to give him half of my half, so he got the 4% of the deal. But he didn't want to get all of his money in it, and he was offering 150. You know, we needed 102 or something.
Something like that, yeah.
And so he said, "Well, write it all down." When I wrote it all down, he saw me several times that weekend, but he never came over and said, "Okay, show me what you got." So to me, he wasn't that interested once he figured out that he was going to have to let go of some of that money. But I was giving him what he asked for in the meetings.
Right.
So I still might do a deal with him, but it won't be all taking out the first because it doesn't sound like he's interested. But if I could have got him to do that, that would have been great because we would have been safer then than the bank because he'd have never had a no do on sale policy. Because I would.
Right. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, so I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like the way this planned out, I mean, yeah, it took time, but I mean, it still turned out to be a really, really good deal.
It was worth it.
It was,
Yeah.
it was definitely worth the time. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
But like Nick
so
said,
exciting.
the deal's still out there.
Yeah.
Keep working on this deal until we don't own the property and then probably even then we'll work on it.
Yeah, exactly right. Wasn't there a story you said that? Well, you said Peter Fortunato, right? Hadn't you said that like over his lifetime, he's bought and sold his house like 6 times?
Yeah.
What?
See, he's never moved out of it.
Which is
That's
crazy.
cool.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What are the rules for a 1031 exchange, do you know?
You can sell your house as tax-free, as long as
No, tax deferred. There's a difference.
Oh, tax deferred. Oh, 1031 exchange, you can swap properties for equal or lesser value. Yeah.
And then what are the rules?
And then close on it.
That's
Was it in 90?
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why would you identify your property, get an option on it, and then sell your property?
Right, yeah.
Because then you already know what you're going to do. But anyway, you don't want to think about that. So, but anyway, you got 45 days. So anytime Peter sees somebody who does a 1031 exchange, he puts it down on his calendar, and he'll call that person in 43 days.
Oh, wow. That's
You have
cool.
your properties yet? No. Okay, well, my property's here. His property's like $1.5 million.
Oh, wow.
It's right over there. And he bought it back, years ago.
Yeah.
And so, let's say that they sold their property for $400,000. He said, okay, well, you can buy my property, and I'll lease it for that. And so he'll do that. And what he does is he for 4% or 5% interest on what the sales price was. And then he's got an option to buy the property back. He's never going to get rid of his house.
Yeah,
He
right.
lives
Yeah.
and he's leasing it, so he gets to stay there. And then, maybe a year later, the guys are ready to have Peter exercises, so Peter exercises his option. And his option's already got the payment thing, whether he has to give him all the money back, or he just gives him payments for this.
Nice.
Yeah.
So cool.
And-
Like, I would never
and-
think of that.
And he, like he says, yeah, I bought it for like 100,000. I've sold it for 200,000. I bought it back for 175,000. I bought it for 400,000. I bought it back for 200,000. And then I sold it for 225,000. And then I paid. It's all
Oh
over the
my
place.
gosh,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's like 6 different times that he's done it.
That's cool.
The deal's never done.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's probably has been my biggest takeaway. Like that the deal's never done, Because there's always ways. I mean, even though it's good, it could be better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Always be thinking about your deals. And how you move it.
Yeah, and then I think, I will say also another thing that got me thinking a lot, which, like, it's 2 things. So Lee told me, he's like, so whenever you meet people, what are you going to tell them? And so I was like, at the time, I was like when they ask you what you do, and I was like, well, I'm an oil and gas landman. He was like, nope.
Right.
He was like, nope. He's like, no. He's like, you want to tell them you're a real estate investor as well. So if they ever want to sell their property or lease it or whatever, just let me know. Which, he's right. Yeah, I mean, he's right.
Yeah.
And 2, which is another thing. One of the things I do is I do listing photos. And so he told me, he's like, if you see a house that you see potential in it, just tell the realtor before they put it on the market. Be like, hey,
Yeah, you get first dibs.
yeah, you get first dibs, you know, because
Yeah.
it's off market.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, wow, I never thought about that. And it was,
Yeah.
and you know, the funny thing was, when he told me that, we had literally just we had just delivered pictures for a home, like a little home in Midland, in a very nice neighborhood, right? I think it was priced for like 215,000. It's one of those like, it was a 1 bedroom, 1 bath,
Oh, okay.
but it was nice. Like, it was a little home, but it was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
And he was like, see, you could have probably gotten that one off market. And I kid you
Yeah.
not, that house didn't even last like 24 hours.
Oh, I
Once
bet,
it was
yeah.
listed, boom, it was gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, Lee was right.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
missed one.
But now you know.
That's how we learn.
Yeah, you learn by your mistakes.
Mhm.
I guess that's a $215,000 mistake I made,
Oh
right?
my gosh,
Seminar.
probably more.
Huh?
Seminar.
Seminar.
Yeah. When we make mistakes, we pay for a new seminar.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Sometimes it actually costs money.
Yeah.
Those are hard seminars.
Yep. Exactly. Well, I appreciate it.
Good job.